As the Indian Air Force and the Indian Army have deployed the S400 missile defense, Pakistani experts believe that Indian missile shield has made Islamabad's nuclear stockpile completely useless. If the S400 wasn't enough, Indian military recently successfully test-fired the Phase 2 of the indigenous Ballistic Missile Defence System, or the BMD, which successfully tracked the projectile from land and sea-based assets and successfully intercepted the target. The Indian BMD can detect and shoot down ballistic missiles of the 5,000-kilometer category. Pakistan might as well throw its nukes in the bin. What this means is that New Delhi retains the option of a limited war, undeterred by any hollow Pakistani threats of a nuclear attack. Now, this has been admitted by a Pakistani think tank which claims that the Indian S400 and the indigenous BMD can detect and shoot down most Pakistani missiles, including the Hath, Gauri and Shaheen class. The Institute of Strategic Studies, Islamabad, admitted, quote, Phase 1 is complete and already deployed around Delhi, while Phase 2 is under development. The S400 is already deployed along the Pakistan and China borders. India can thus deploy its mixture of indigenous and acquired systems to undermine the effectiveness of Pakistan's nuclear forces. As the scope and sophistication of Indian BMD increases, it is likely to have a greater impact on Pakistan's nuclear deterrence, unquote. Meanwhile, India has the BrahMos missile in its arsenal, which, in a misfiring, beat all Pakistani air defense and landed in a field. This admission by Pakistan is quite surprising, as despite having a considerably weaker military than India, it often tries to project an equal footing. Recently, Indian Air Force also conducted the thorough test on the S400, in which it was able to shoot down 80% of enemy fighter jet package while scattering away the rest. Firstly, such power display by the Indian Air Force seems to have rattled Pakistani defense establishment's confidence. Secondly, this is also an indirect admission by Pakistan of a weaker military than India, and that eventually it may have to rely on a nuclear threat to save itself from any Indian onslaught. Thirdly, according to the think tank, Indian missile shield undermines the principle of, quote, mutual vulnerability to retaliation. Meanwhile, 30 rounds of talks have failed to break a deadlock along the LAC as Indian military and Chinese PLA remain locked in a tense border standoff. The possibility of an India-China war cannot be ruled out, and in such a scenario, the CCP may demand Pakistan to open another front against India. New Delhi is quickly boosting its missile defense arsenal to face any such two-front war. The successful test firing of Phase 2 of the Indian BMD system seems to have caught Pakistan off guard. The BMD can shoot down Pakistani nuclear missiles endo-atmospherically. Even the Indian S400 can detect Pakistani or Chinese missiles at a range of 600 kilometers and intercept them at ranges of up to 400 kilometers, which is well within inside Pakistani territory. The Indian S400 can cover 80% of Pakistani airspace and is capable of tracking 300 targets in one go and engaging 36 targets simultaneously with 2 missiles for each target. Pakistan's Operation Swift Retort, which it launched as a counter to Indian Air Force's Balakot airstrikes, will be impossible to relaunch today due to the Indian military's S400. Islamabad think tank believes that India is now capable of adopting a more aggressive posture, increasing the risk of a nuclear conflict since Pakistan will be left with no other option. Meanwhile, India also has the medium-range Akash air defense system with a speed of Mach 2.5 and range of 25 kilometers. Indian Akash has been bought by Armenia and is also in demand by Brazil. The latest addition to India's air defense capabilities is the Samar 2 surface-to-air missile, which will be test-fired in December this year. Now, Samar 2 will be utilizing the older Russian R-27 air-to-air missiles and boasts a range of 30 kilometers in all-weather conditions. According to Air Marshal Vibhas Pandey, the Indian Air Force soon will be able to, quote, integrate any other missile, and that India's air defense will become stronger and stronger. Under Project Kusha, DRDO is developing a long-range surface-to-air missile system with a maximum range of 350 kilometers. This is India's own S400 system and will be deployed over the next 4 to 5 years. India also successfully test-fired the indigenous man-portable air defense missile system, the VS HORADS, in February 2024. With a range of up to 6 kilometers, it is designed to destroy enemy helicopters, drones, and hostile aircraft at very short ranges. So are you proud of the progress made by Indian defense establishment? Leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe to Inconnect News.